Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today we're doing the classic movie tag that Raquel from the wonderful blog outofthepastblog.com initiated, and she has also done a video in her channel about. So I thought it was a very cool idea, and I'd never done tag before, and it felt like the questions or the prompts were very good, so I just thought that I would do it in my channel. So I'll also leave her links down below so that you can check her blog and her channel too. And without further ado, let's just start with the first question. So the first question is, what's the one classic movie that you recommend to people over and over again? So I feel that there are two films that I tend to recommend the most to practically everyone I meet or I eventually become friends with. So I think that the number one film that I do recommend the most is The Shop Around the Corner, from Ernst Lubitsch, with James Stewart and Margaret Sullavan. It is one of my favorite films. I know that it is a film that I tend to recommend because especially for people who haven't watched that many classic films, you can always link that film to You've Got Mail, with Tom Hanks, not a reference, You've Got Mail, which is a remake of The Shop Around the Corner with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, and which is a relatively known film. And you can always tell people, oh, but do you know that there's a previous film that it's called The Shop Around the Corner? It's actually the name of the shop that Meg Ryan has in the film You've Got Mail, and it is one of the films that I really love the most. I don't know how many times I've watched it. I love the dialogue, and I think that for people who haven't, well, if you love classic films, I think you must watch it. But if you haven't watched that many classic films, it's kind of like a nice film to watch. I feel it's like a nice introduction, and I haven't yet met someone that I've recommended to that hasn't liked it. It is such a delightful story. It is such a good script. There are so many beautiful lines, and the way that I feel that the actors, they're so wonderful. I don't know. I just love that film, and I feel that it's one of the films that I've recommended the most throughout the years. And I think that the other one that I've also recommended a lot would be Gilda, with Rita Hayworth and Glenn Ford. And because I also feel that it's kind of an iconic film, and I rediscovered it actually a few years ago. It wasn't such a favorite of mine growing up or in the past, but I just watched it a few years ago, and it just blew my mind. I just thought, oh wow, this film is so amazing, and the songs and the way Rita Hayworth portrays Gilda, and the very tumultuous relationship with Glenn Ford is it's so twisted, but it's so good. I mean, it's one of those things that it's so twisted and evil, and their relationship is so wrong in so many ways, but it works so well, and their chemistry is absolutely off the charts, and it has so many beautiful scenes too, and the dialogue, it's just one of my favorite things in movies, is so fantastic. So I think that Gilda's another film that I would recommend the most. So next question, what was the last classic film you saw, and what were your thoughts about it? So the last classic film I watched quite recently was Captain Blood. I watched it because it would have been Errol Flynn's 110th birthday, the celebration. It would have been his birthday a few days ago, and Captain Blood is a film I really enjoy and I really love, and I hadn't watched it in a while, and I watched it again, and my thoughts about it. Well, I believe it's brilliant. It's by Michael Curtis, and it's the first film that he made with Olivia de Havilland. It's kind of the film that totally hit it off for both of them, and they were, after that film, they became overnight stars, and the success was amazing. And I really love the adventure in that film. I feel that those are the kind of movies that inspired George Lucas, Steven Spielberg. You can see the adventure. It has great lines too, great characters. Their chemistry again is amazing, and also the way it was shot. Every time I watch it, it's kind of as though I would discover something new. So aside from all the adventure and the romance and the story, I would discover new things. So for instance, I was reading and I was trying to write about German Expressionism, and as I watched the film a few days ago, I just kind of like saw a few frames or a few shots that really resembled, I really thought they were taken out of a German expressionist film, and it was so interesting. And I don't know, it is amazing. I love the characters, I love all the actors, I love Basil Rathbone, I love Captain Levasseur. It's one of my favorite characters ever. The way Basil plays this French guy, like no, with all those French mannerisms, it is so wonderful. So I really I love the movie. So those were my thoughts, just pure love. Right, move on. Number 3, name a classic movie genre you love and one you dislike. Right, so Raquel in her video, she just pointed out, and she was quite right, that you don't have to necessarily hate the genre. It's just that you don't like it as much, and that happens for me. I don't kind of like hate any genre, and I love a lot of them. The movie genre that also got me into loving classic films, it would be the musical. So yeah, I think that if I had to only choose one, it would be musicals. I just love musicals in general, but classic musicals, I just love them. And if I had to choose a genre that I don't like as much, I feel it would be also horror films too. I don't particularly like terror films. If they're even I haven't even watched many classic horror films, to be honest, like Frankenstein, The Bride of Frankenstein, I don't know, Dracula, Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney. Haven't watched that many, to be honest. But I'm pretty sure, coming to think about it, I'm pretty sure I would like them a lot. So I don't know. Number 4, name a classic movie star with whom you share a birthday or a hometown. So as far as a hometown, I don't know any classic movie star that was from Barcelona. Not that I'm aware of or know right now. But as far as birthdays go, I share my birthday with Miss Rosalind Russell, and she was so talented, so funny, and I'm so happy to share birthday with Rosalind Russell. So number 5, give a shout out to a friend or a family member who shares your love of classic movies. So I think it would be fair for me to give a shout out to my mom. She was the one who really got me into this, who really got me into classic films when I was very little, back in Barcelona. And yeah, she's the responsible for that, and we've shared our love all the while. And she's the one who got me into classic films, and she's been amazing. So yeah, thank you, Mom, for everything, and especially for the gift of love for classic films. Next question would be, name a classic movie star who makes your heart skip a beat, or whom you admire greatly. Right. So yeah, it's kind of difficult for me to answer this one. I think it would be a classic movie star that I admire. I think it would be Olivia de Havilland, mainly because she's been an advocate for what she believed in, and she fought the studios to kind of like stop all those lengthy contracts that they had with binding them to a studio for a certain period of time, and having to accept parts in films that maybe they were not too happy about, and she fought that. And I believe the choices she's made in throughout her career as an actress, I think she's always tried to do something new, and with different results, but she's tried to always do different things. And if I had to choose someone who makes my heart skip a beat when I see him, would be William Holden, I believe. I think he's so beautiful, man. And the way he was so attractive, at least for me. And his voice I think is also fantastic, and it's also one of those actors I kind of admire him too as well, because the body of work that he has, I think it's amazing, and I think it's a lot of times overlooked over other actors. I think he did an amazing body of work. I mean, Bridge Over the River Kwai, Stalag 17, Sunset Boulevard, Born Yesterday, which it's a favorite for me, and I don't know, so many more. The Wild Bunch, Network. I don't know. He made lots of fantastic films, and I don't think he regarded himself that well, but certainly he is for me. So it would be Olivia de Havilland and William Holden. Those are my choices for question number 6. Number 7, describe one memorable experience watching a classic movie. So again, linking my mom and her influence with my love for classic films. When I was very little, one Christmas she gave me Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, and I don't know, I must have been 5 or 6, and that was the movie who made it for me. So musicals, again, as I was answering in previous questions, musicals were for me, at least when I was little, they were the ones who won my heart. And especially Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, it was a film that I was so enamored with. I became such a huge fan. It's also one of the reasons I started learning English, because I wanted to understand what they were talking and singing, well, mostly singing because the film was dubbed, but what they were singing about. And so the memorable experience for me was watching Seven Brides for Seven Brothers a few years ago in the big screen. So it was the first time for me that I was watching it in the big screen, and I was so happy. I was so amazed to also see, you know what, it was also very kind of like moving for me and touching, was seeing the reaction that many people had throughout the screening of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. So they were laughing a lot, they were clapping with the musical numbers. They were so happy. It was a movie that really holds up, and many people, and watched it with, I've always watched it at home with my family or maybe a couple of friends, but to watch it in the big screen and with so many people who share your appreciation for the movie, or maybe they're just seeing it for the first time and they're just kind of like, oh, this is so good, and it's so funny, and I don't know, it was so good. And it's one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had, and I'm really grateful that they decided to release Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, because it's one of my favorite films. Number eight. So number 8. Describe the craziest thing you've done because of your passion for classic movies. Okay, kind of like the craziest thing I've ever done is spending money. Is spending lots of money on, well, not lots, but money on films, on special editions, on books. But there was, I think the craziest thing I've done was flying to London and buying tickets to have kind of like a special breakfast in Harrods in London for the launch of the re-edition of the cookbook, a brilliant cookbook that Vincent Price and his wife at the time, Maddie, did. It's a fantastic cookbook that is called a treasury of great recipes. And I found it, I don't know how I found it online somehow, because I love cookbooks, I love cooking, and I love baking, and I love cookbooks. And then there was this re-edition that Vincent Price's daughter Victoria did, and there was a launch in London where you could go to Harrods and have this fancy breakfast and meet her and have her sign the book and kind of like get another copy. And I don't know, I just did it's probably the craziest thing I've done, going to London just for that, to have that experience. And I would love to also go one day to the TCM Classic Film Festival, and that would be also another crazy thing I would do. So number 9 is, what's something classic movie related that you love to collect? So I love to collect books, like many of us do, and I also used to collect pictures, like photographs. So I have I have more at home, but now that I'm living here in Edinburgh, I brought two, and I have more in my bedroom. So these ones are for Gary Cooper and Titan Power, and they also have like a small detail on the back about their background and their, I don't know, their lives, and it's all in Spanish. But I used to find those, yeah, I used to find those at a library in Barcelona that I went to, and I was so fascinated with. When I was little, you would find books there, but you would also find this kind of like printed photographs of classic film stars. So I have also pictures of Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, Gregory Peck, Paul Newman. I also have movie stills from Anchors Away, the musical, from Notorious, from Hitchcock. I also have photographs of Rock Hudson and I believe Gene Kelly as well. And yeah, that would be the other thing that I love to collect. So it's books like this one here, which is one of my favorites, the autobiography of Errol Flynn. It's a wonderful book. And yeah, cookbooks, books, and photographs. Those are the things that I love collecting. And here's the last question. So the last question for the classic movie tag is what's your favorite way to share your passion for classic movies? Well, I'm making this video now, but I mainly love writing. I have a blog which this channel springs from, and I love writing, to be honest, about films. And I'm trying to make more videos about it, like this one, so that I can also share my passion for classic films in another medium as well, which I think it's nice to see. Aside from reading, it's nice to see people's reaction, or kind of see people explaining their love, talking about their love about classic films, or talking about their favorite films. So yeah, so those are kind of like the two ways I think that I would prefer for sharing the love of classic films. Alright, so that was all for the classic movie tag. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you relate to some of the answers, or you find them interesting. I would love to hear about your answers as well. So this is a tag that anyone can do, as Raquel in her blog just mentions a few ways that you can do it too. You can do a video, you can do a Twitter thread, you can do a podcast. So it would be lovely if you leave comments below with some of the things that you thought about the answers. Maybe you felt the same way or not. It would be, in any case, just lovely to hear your thoughts about it, and hopefully we will be seeing each other soon for a new video in this channel. I hope you enjoyed it and have a fantastic week. Bye!